In this video, I'm going to go over two kinds of notes, what I call stts and writ notes. Writ stands for while reading I thought, and stts stands for something the text says. Stts also happens to be a ridiculous acronym from the 2018 movie Sorry to Bother You, where it means stick to the script, which in a sense is what you should do when you write stts notes. For both kinds of notes, you should, as much as possible, put things in your own words. Why? Well, doing it will make you a better person. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's look at what the author of How to Take Smart Notes, Sönke Ahrens, says about the importance of putting things in your own words. We're going to look at two passages here. One's short, the other is a bit longer. So Ahrens writes, "We tend to think we understand what we read until we try to rewrite it in our own words. Putting in your own words what has been said by others is a way to test yourself, to see whether you really understand what others have said, as Ahrens suggests at the beginning of a second passage from his book. He writes, "The attempt to rephrase an argument in our own words confronts us without mercy with all the gaps in our understanding. It certainly feels less good, but this struggle is the only chance we have to improve our understanding, to learn and move forward. We are faced with a clear choice. We have to choose between feeling smarter and becoming smarter. And while writing down an idea feels like a detour, like it's extra time spent, not writing it down is the real waste of time. So let's not waste our time. Let's put things in our own words. Let's choose to become smarter, even if it will make us feel pretty dumb too much of the time." To get started with using stts and writ notes, first add them to your homepage under a heading with the title Note Types. You should already have that heading set up and a couple of note types listed underneath it, the professor question and the answer note types. But if not, go ahead and create that heading and those notes. And then go ahead and create pages for the stts and the writ notes. You should know how to do that at this point. Simply type stts and colon, and then click on the three dots and tag it as a document, which I'm not going to do here since I already have this page. And then do the same for the writ page that you're going to create. You might also want to add to this page the reminder I have here about what stts notes are, along with how they differ from writ notes. So as it says here, stts equals something the text says. And what I'm about to show you is that you should place stts in front of notes that you make that are merely restatements, albeit in your own words, of what a paragraph or a passage in the text says. And then I've also added here, by using stts and writ when you take notes, you are distinguishing between ideas that come from someone else, the author of a text, and ideas that come from you. So now that we have created the stts and writ pages, let's go ahead and make use of those. So for an example of a stts note, let's take a look at the opening paragraph of Seneca's On the Shortness of Life. So what you can see here is that I have highlighted just a phrase within this paragraph, and then I've written a stts note for it. That is to say, I have basically restated it in my own words. So the point that Seneca is making here, this is not my own idea. He's saying it's only late in life, towards or at the very end of it, that most people feel like they're just getting started with living. Now, by creating a note of this sort, I'm signaling to myself, I guess to my future self, that I found this particular point in the Seneca reading noteworthy, at least noteworthy enough to take the time to write it down. Now, this doesn't ensure that everything you write down will prove to be valuable later on. Far from it. But when it comes time to write something about these assigned readings, I think you're going to find it helpful to be able to hop around in your Remnote account, looking for the various points that you had found interesting in the past. Let's now consider an example of using a writ note. So I'm going to go to the assigned readings here. We're going to take a look at a passage from Seneca's second letter to Lucilius. So here too you can see that I have highlighted a particular part of the paragraph, and then underneath it I have written writ. So what I've written here is what I was thinking as I was reading this particular part. So it says here, Seneca is thinking of poverty and wealth in terms of happiness, not money or material things. And happiness, he goes on to argue, depends on whether one wants more than one currently has. That is, whether one hankers after more than one currently has. And here's where my own thought comes in. I note that under capitalism, companies and the people who work for them are forced to acquire more money than they currently have, regardless of whether they really want to do that. And that's because they are basically forced to make a profit in order to survive. So I've got this question here. Is Seneca's conception of happiness at odds with how our economic system is set up? So that's what I have to say about stts and writ notes. We will obviously be taking time in class to go over them in more detail. Thanks for watching. Smash the subscribe button.